The Prashantinilayam campus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning will present a drama entitled Gautama Buddha.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Esteemed elders, dearest sisters and brothers, a loving Sai Ram to all gathered here today. As a part of the annual sports and cultural meet of the Sri Sathya Sai educational institutions, the students of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Prashantinilayam campus, offer at the lotus feet of our most beloved Lord a drama entitled Gautam Buddha.
Ananda, go now. I await the arrival of someone.
Master, may I ask who it is?
Someone very special. Go, Ananda. Take some rest.
Greetings, Buddha. Greetings. The world regards time to be the biggest healer, the greatest transformer. But this time has fortunately failed to assuage my love for you, Buddha. I fail to distance myself away from you.
Condolences, Mara, on yet another failure.
Buddha, I stand impeccably convinced that you surely do float in an elusive plane of sweet pride. Such a great spiritual ambassador, thronged by his faithful followers, radiating such unending devotion. What exquisite richness you contain, Buddha.
Yes, Mara. I am rich. I am rich, for you have been my most faithful follower.
How can I not conform to my own fate? When my eyes meet your form, my memory resurrects to the time when you were born. How can I forget that poisonous bond of failure that you drowned me in?
At the royal court, the great monarch of Kapilavastu, Maharaj Shuddhodana, is completely lost in bliss and is enraptured by the sight of the newborn prince, a boon conferred on the Sakya clan after years of intense prayers. The city is filled with joy, and there are celebrations resonating in the air.
जगाने राजकुमार राजा के घर,
हमरे दिल में उमंग भर दे इतनी खुशियाँ लाए हैं वो।
आयो हमरे भाग जगाने राजकुमार राजा के घर,
हमरे दिल में उमंग भर दे इतनी खुशियाँ लाए हैं वो।
खुशियाँ लाई मन को भाई दिल बहलाए हम सब गाए, खुशियाँ लाई मन को भाई दिल बहलाए मिलके गाए।
राजा और रानी के संग खुशियाँ मनाने हम सब मिले साथ हो।
लाखों तारे चमके हम सबकी आंखों का तारा सितारा है ये, चंदा है ये।
आँखों में सपने लिए दिल में उमंगों संग
आए हम दरबार में, तेरे दरबार में।
भाग हमारे समृद्धि भी पाओ पसारे हम सबकी आशा है ये।
आशीष मिले हम सबका चाहो दिशा में जाने इसे,
सब जाने अनजाने सिर्फ इसकी ख्याति माने ऐसा राजा बने। सब जाने अनजाने सिर्फ इसकी ख्याति माने ऐसा राजा बने।
मुस्काए मन भाए हमें चाहे सुख लाए हमारा ही प्यारा बने।
आयो हमने भाग जगाने राजकुमार राजा के घर,
हमरे दिल में उमंग भर दे इतनी खुशियाँ लाए हैं वो।
खुशियाँ लाई मन को भाई दिल बहलाए हम सब गाए, खुशियाँ लाई मन को भाई दिल बहलाए मिलके गाए।
Maharaj, this day truly marks for all of us the birth of a new and royal string of immense happiness.
Absolutely. Today, I feel and find myself as the fortunate recipient of solatium from Mother Fortune. Gods have finally blessed me with a beautiful son and have gifted this dynasty its new crown prince.
Maharaj Shuddhodana, today our entire kingdom has relinquished the thoughts of any pain or suffering with the feelings of joy and happiness that this little lad has so generously granted all of us.
Oh yes. The very thought of his arrival vibrantly sent every part of my being tingling with bliss. And today, on his arrival, I find myself smitten with unbearable happiness. My son shall be the dispeller of all darkness. I can see that he will rule this kingdom with the princely radiance of his unmatched valor. The day is not far when he shall be the light illuminating the lives of the worthy citizens of this state. I have decided that he shall be named Siddhartha.
Maharaj, Sage Asita has arrived and seeks an audience with you.
Oh, Sage Asita? Kindly escort him with all due reverence inside the quarters. I can seldom refrain my curiosity anymore. I want to know what the future holds in its treasure chest for my Siddhartha.
Greetings, King Shuddhodana.
Greetings, Master. Greetings. The news of the arrival of our child instantly brought you here. It's truly a blessing, O revered sage.
Maharaj, my curiosity too refused to let me wait any longer. My soul is longing to see your little light. I too want to know about the great and magnificent secrets that your son would unravel to the world. Maharaj, quickly put an end to my sweet impatience and let me too see and caress the calming countenance of your child.
Of course. Here he is. All yours. Extinguish the burning excitement in my heart, O sage. Tell me what great things are in store for my son. Rishivar, is there something wrong with my Siddhartha? Speak up, O sage. Why this uncalled silence? What has happened?
O noble king, this has happened to you. This has happened to you because of the love and kindness you possess in abundance. Your child is that prophet who will possess supreme knowledge and will lead the world onto the road to realization. Darkness will end before his light of knowledge, just as the night flees before the piercing spears of the sun. From the sea of evil, from the stinging spray of sickness, from the surge and swell of old age, from the angry waves of death, he will rescue the suffering world, and together they will all sail safely in the ship of knowledge. Maharaj, finally, the savior of all has taken birth, this time in your dynasty as your son. I have performed austerities and meditation all my life, but still I would be unable to fathom his lofty law. I pity myself, for even the ones who have surpassed the highest of all heavens sometimes need to be pitied. Maharaj, you are blessed. You are truly blessed.
Shuddhodana. Spirituality is an illusionary path of strength for the weak-minded. The son of a valorous king goes on to become a sheepish hermit, ready to be slaughtered at the hands of any worthless existence. What an overwhelmingly shameless pity!
No! My son shall never discover the path of spirituality. That path of cowardice is only for the weak-minded. A king's son will never be a hopeless hermit. O sage, let the laws of astrology echo any logic. But my son will be the heir to my throne. People turn spiritual because of pain and suffering. I shall never let even a speck of pain and suffering meet my son's eyes. Let him mature in an environment full of happiness, enjoyment, and youthful exuberance alone. I will not allow pain to even be a part of his psyche. Let it all be unknown to him. From today, this shall be the cloak that my kingdom will wear. My son will be a king only.
Having resolved to hide all forms of pain and suffering from his son, Shuddhodana meticulously plans to ensure that his son does not come to know what suffering is. He builds 3 royal palaces for the summer, winter, and monsoon, filled with young and healthy people. Dried leaves and faded flowers are removed before the dawn, so that the young prince sees only freshness and life around him. Every attempt was made to ensure that death, pain, and suffering remain unknown to his son. The palace does not have an iota of pain in it. However, the mighty will of destiny that decides the course of life had a completely different course for young Siddhartha.
You really seem to have improved over the weeks, Channa. But still, I will always make it tough for you. In sword fight at least.
Oh yes, Prince Siddhartha. Your youthful energy is simply a spectacle for me to witness. Indeed, it is an honor.
By the way, Channa.
नदियों का झरनों का बहता शीतल जल फूलों की भीनी खुशबू वृक्षों के मीठे फल ये प्रकृति सवारे जीवन का कल पर उपकार है सच्चा धन
Channa,
नश्वर है
never has any song created such enigmatic waves of curiosity in me. What is this man singing, Channa? What is he singing?
Prince Siddhartha, his song glorifies the place from which he hails. A place far from here. Mountains, lakes, springs and valleys, all so beautiful, so serene.
But a place away from here? Does a land outside ours also in existence? Is a palace not the only one that exists?
No, Prince Siddhartha. Beyond these 4 walls stands the vast world. A world that spells immense difference. Seldom it is impregnated with the air of utopia and happiness that our palace bears. Suffering tames that world, with happiness just being a guest at intermittence.
Suffering? Channa, what is suffering? In a few days, I shall inherit my father's throne. But I have not even once traversed and seen our own kingdom. Channa, I think I need to represent a sense of responsibility towards our land. Come, let us proceed immediately to those unseen quarters of our land. Come, let us go.
Siddhartha! Siddhartha! Don't go out! Don't go out!
Prince Siddhartha, what is the matter?
Nothing. Nothing. Just a bemusing storm within. Nothing. Come, let us go. Channa, Mother Beauty appears pale in front of our land's matchless magnificence. It is heartening to see such a joyous kingdom. Channa, who is this man? Why does he look so strange and different? Is he someone like us, or of a world unknown to me?
Prince, he is as much as a man as you and me. But he is passing through his old age.
Old age? Channa, what is old age?
Prince Siddhartha, with the passage of time, man's body begins to grow weak and frail. His hair turns grey, bones become brittle, and time silently siphons off the beauty and strength that once our youth boasted.
Channa, will this happen to me too?
Of course, you, me, everyone.
Channa, that man, why is he acting in such a manner? Is he old too?
He is sick. O Prince, he is suffering from a disease causing him excruciating pain. There are terrible sicknesses in this world that dwell in our bodies and destroy our will to live.
Channa, will I too undergo this suffering?
Yes, everyone will.
Channa, why is it so crowded over there? What has happened?
Death has devoured him, my lord.
Death? Channa, what is death?
Death is the deepest separation. When the mask of life falls, the body becomes numb and cold. It no longer feels, no longer speaks. It has to be burnt to ashes. It leaves behind such loved ones in an emotional plane of acute dilapidation.
And certainly, this too shall happen to me. Channa, for all these years, I was oblivious of the truth that it is. I lay dumped in the dark. The palace that seemed to be so perfect is nothing but a truth massacred by the garb of delusion.
Prince Siddhartha, your father loved you much. He never wanted you to encounter any of these sufferings. He always desired you to be happy. It was out of his immense affection for you that he took this step.
What? It was my father? Why did he do this to me? Why did he not tell me the truth? And Channa, you say that he loved me? No! True love never stands on the foundations of untruth. My father has made me just another prisoner in his kingdom who has dissolved completely in egregious ignorance. Oh, what shall I do? What shall I do now? Channa, who is that man? Why does he look so strange? What brings such calmness and serenity in his being? Who is he, Channa? Who is he?
Prince, he is an ascetic. It is said that they have renounced this world and have overcome the vicissitudes of life to find the fountain of eternal joy.
But how does he do that?
I am afraid. I have no answer to that. Each one needs to discover for himself.
Channa, after seeing all this suffering around, how can I live a life of luxury and ostentation? I need to renounce the world and become an ascetic like him. I need to find an answer that shall end this inexplicable suffering of mine. Only then can I redeem my people from this untold misery that they encounter every day in their life.
Channa, my salutations to the overly ambitious plans of your dear prince. My respects to the sweet and selfless drops of tears that he has shed. Alas, this will not help him. But what can help him if he stays back in this kingdom and looks after his people? Am I not right, Channa? Channa, save your master! Save your master! Save your master!
No. No, Prince Siddhartha. How can you even think of forsaking us all?
My heart torments me with the suffering of mine, and I have to find a panacea that shall end the suffering of all.
Oh, Prince, it would be wiser if you stay here, be our emperor, and look after us. When you become the emperor, you will have all the wealth and power to take care of the aged and put an end to our physical sicknesses. And Prince, your family, how can you leave them?
Yes, Channa, you are right. Absolutely right. I should not depart. But would it help me overcome the fear of old age, pain, and death? Would I too not get entangled in this labyrinth of suffering if I stay here? I will, Channa. I will. Even my love for Yashodhara and my son Rahul doesn't remove my suffering. They too shall grow old, fall sick, and die one day. It is to end their misery that I have to find an answer. And that is why, Channa, I have to leave.
Prince.
I have to leave.
Prince, no.
Young Siddhartha proceeded towards the forest in search of the end of all suffering which he had just witnessed. Mother Nature, in her own inexplicable way, welcomes and pays its respects to this great soul. Witnessing this grand spectacle, the ascetics in the forest surrender themselves at the feet of Siddhartha and become his dear disciples. Siddhartha, in search of the ultimate truth, chooses the path of intense meditation that opposed worldly temptations. For 6 long years, Siddhartha and his disciples undertake severe austerities. For drinking, they drank only when it rained. For food, only a grain a day. Fruits fallen from a tree, or droppings of a bird passing by. The once golden hue body of the young prince had been reduced to a mere bag of bones, with his legs and limbs merely attached to his torso. The entire body became next to dead, with frail bones covered by lifeless skin. This was the path of self-mortification. But was it going to serve Siddhartha with the truth he seeks? Was it going to give him the ultimate knowledge that he is in quest of?
Father, I have been trying hard to get the right tune for the song. But I get no music from the tambura. I feel the tambura has some defect.
Son, it is not the tambura, but the strings. They are too slack. Tighten them a bit. Give it to me, son. Look, son. If you tighten the string too much, it will snap. And if you leave it too slack, it will not play. Melody always lies in between the extremes.
मन को बांध रे काहे ना धर धीर रे जैसे हंस दूध पिए त्याग देत नीर रे भक्ति तार अति खींच न भावे बिन तारों के साज न साजे भक्ति भी समभाव जानो जो ना समझे अधीर रे
Melody always lies in between the extremes. Yes, one extreme is the path of self-inducement, indulgence in the luxuries of life. Other extreme is the path of self-mortification, destruction of the body in the pursuit of truth. Both will not end suffering. The right path lies in between the extremes. Yes, the middle path, the middle path.
O noble one, you seem to be hungry. Please have some food.
Faith is for the helpless, but reason is for those who wish to grow. Open your eyes, believe your senses. Look, the master whom you follow is himself a servant of his senses. I pity you. 6 years of intense austerity, only to be cheated in the end.
Master, what have you done?
It is blasphemy. The master has broken the vow by partaking cooked food.
Come, brothers, come. Join me in partaking this food, the right path.
You have forsaken your search for truth by yielding to the commands of your senses.
You have abandoned the path. Liberation is not for the one who cannot even restrain hunger.
You have betrayed us, Master.
We can no longer follow you.
Listen to me, brothers. I have in fact found the answer. The right path lies in between the extremes. The right path lies in between the extremes.
Arrived Mara, ego personified. With the score of soldiers, emotions seldom defied. Challenging the Buddha, seeking mastery of the mind. Firstly, an armed attack upon the physical. 9 storms of nature's fury to wreck the seeker's serene lull. But Mara's was to be the first defeat. His army in shame forced to retreat. The winds tempestuous rage in vain, failing to elicit even a ripple in the robe. The torrential downpour of rain, greeted with a vaporizing probe. Hard rocks transformed to decorative garlands, piercing weapons to fragrant flowers. Ashes descended as freshness bathing talcum showers. Sand transfigured to blossoms upon the hands. Darkness was stripped of its identity, all amidst the sunshine of Buddha's resplendence. Unfazed, the emperor next lined a peculiar ignoble regiment targeting the mind. 5 soldiers of inebriating silken essence, with strength of beauty and evasive abilities of transience. Pride advanced to restore the false identity. Desire dancing to ignite the passion of waning senses. Fear's delicate strides in harmonious fluidity, seeking to crumble fearlessness attained of true awareness. Greed's gallop decorating desire's absurdity, with ignorance commanding these forces. But all were reduced to mere vacuum. Finally, enveloped in hypocrisy, Mara sought the Buddha's servitude. Imagining his vile trick of concealment would flame the ego of mastery in the seeker of truth. A plea that evoked wisdom rather, as the Buddha questioned the illusionary ego, Mara. Mara's proof roared in the multitude mundane, and in turn he demanded of Buddha's existence a witness sane. The Bodhisattva's touch upon the earth, and a call to the forbearing mother to testify his merit, resulted in the echoes of the earth's affirmation. In these gigantic ripples of tremors, his ignoble multitude and Mara were consumed.
Saranam gacchami dhammam saranam gacchami sangham.
The Buddha was like the deep ocean, in which the waves of beings, sentient and non-sentient, arose and dissolved from time to time. The suffering of each one was in fact the suffering of Buddha himself. This plight of humanity implored Buddha to teach the noble truth. The very first disciples of the Buddha were his former 5 companions with whom he had practiced austerities. The first discourse of the Buddha marked the setting in motion of the wheel of the Dhamma, called as the Dhamma Chakra Pravartana Sutra, and in it he clarifies both the middle path and the doctrine of the 4 noble truths. This middle path consists of the Ashtanga Marga. The first sermon thus led directly to the first formation of the Buddhist community, the Sangha. Buddha, the sweet nectar of peace and serenity, attracted many wandering monks who became enlightened in his divine presence. As the numbers increased in his Sangha, he told his monks to go and preach. He showed them the middle path of balance, the harmony of the body, the mind, and the spirit, leading to the gates of Nirvana. Throughout his avataric mission, Buddha visited different communities, preaching the Dhamma and converting beings of all sorts. One such story is the story of the fierce dacoit, Angulimal.
Maharaj, you look very grave. Something seems to be troubling you.
A kingdom that is filled with petrified denizens troubles any king. As the emperor of this land, it is my foremost duty to ensure the happiness of all my people. But in the past few days, I have noticed that a thick blanket of fear has veiled the peace and prosperity of the entire kingdom. Peace and order seem to be in complete disarray. And the cause is Angulimal.
Yes, Maharaj. Your concern regarding Angulimal needs to be addressed with utmost urgency. We are losing lives of many of our people and the faith of even more.
He is responsible for unimaginable havoc, Maharaj. Terrorizing tales of his wild rampage have spread fright in the hearts of all our people.
He seems to be a merciless creature on a mission of wretched cruelty to devour our kingdom of all its life. Maharaj, this barbaric existence, known to notoriously adorn himself with the fingers of his victims, is an intolerable menace. The faster we get rid of him, the better.
This has gone too far now. This obnoxious pest should not be allowed to wander amidst our kingdom anymore. Angulimal has to be curbed, rather eliminated. This time, I shall personally spell doom on him.
Master, every person living in this kingdom now dreads coming even in the vicinity of this forest. You have indeed become its indisputable king.
I have found the secret to true joy. Pleasure of feasting upon the fear of men. Pleasure of quenching my thirst with their blood. Pleasure of adorning myself with the garland of their fingers.
Master, your acts of valor have become chronicles that will echo as death knells for eons to come. You have been a blizzard, a storm that has been absolutely ruthless and merciless.
Mercy. Mercy may be shown to the gullible like you and me, but definitely not to this abominable, wretched carcasses, devoid of any feelings. They roam in the garb of the civilized, enjoying the luxuries of life, oblivious of the fact that people like us are deprived of even the basic necessities. But they must remember, if they can make our lives miserable, then we will leave them with no life at all.
Master, I have some very good news for you. There seem to be some foolish monks who have dared to enter into your forest. And they are coming this way.
A monk. Wonderful. I think the time has finally come to sanctify my garland with the fingers of a monk. Let me liberate him. You monk, tell me if you have any final wishes, for I am going to end your life at this very moment. How dare you ignore me? This monk has lived more than he deserves to. You monk, stop there! I said stop and turn around.
Ahimsaka, I have already stopped and turned. I have stopped forever for swearing violence to every living being. I have turned within to realize my true nature. Now it is time for you to stop and turn within. Angulimal, what do you want from me?
I came to kill you.
Then you may do so.
Are you not afraid of me? People dread my very name.
I have no fear. Instead, you suffer from fear and restlessness.
Fear in me?
Yes. The deep fear in you is your violence.
If I kill you, my mission to kill 100 people will be completed.
And what will that give you? It will not give you anything but more fear and restlessness.
And then?
Because you spread terror and violence, they will come back to you.
If that is true, what should I do?
Ahimsaka, your anger is not the solution to the problems you face. It will only fuel the fire within you. And remember, one day that fire will consume you, my child. Forsake this feeling of hatred and cultivate love. For love is the divine ointment that soothes all wounds. My child, this is your true nature. From today, forsake all hatred and anger and live up to your name, Ahimsaka.
O noble one, by your mere words, the current of my suppressed, nobler and purer urges has broken through the dam of hardened cruelty. Who are you, O noble one?
He is compassion incarnate, Gautam Buddha, the enlightened one.
I want your care and protection. If you can pardon me for all the crimes I did, I will follow your path.
So be it, Ahimsaka. Today, I initiate you into the Sangha.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Oh Lord!
Pasenadi.
Lord, it is my great fortune to have come across your divine presence. But Lord, what brings you to this dense forest?
O noble king, a monk who has renounced the world has the luxury of inhabiting all of it, then be it the cities or the forest. But I am curious to know what has compelled the king to leave his palatial comforts and come down to this desolate forest.
Lord, there is a bandit in my realm named Angulimal. Brutal and devoted to killing, he is turning my kingdom into a graveyard. I have come to remove this impediment from the face of this earth and restore the serenity of my kingdom.
I too have heard of him. But suppose you were to see Angulimal wearing ochre robes, refraining from killing, and leading a holy life which is virtuous and of fine character. Then what would you do to him?
Lord, I would bow down to him or offer him a seat, robes, arms, food, or even protection and defense. But it is only in my dreams that I will find such virtue and restraint in a barbaric, evil character.
Then open your eyes and see for yourself. Your dream has turned into a reality.
Angulimal?
Yes, O king, it is me. But I am no more the Angulimal that you have heard of. The poisonous weeds of hatred in my heart have been uprooted by his infinite compassion. I am now his disciple.
O noble men, remember that the precious jewel of love is inherent in every man. But at times, the winds of ignorance cover this jewel with the dust of hatred, turning him into an animal. All of man's life is but a quest to unearth and safeguard this jewel. There is always a constant battle between the good and the evil. True victory lies not in the annihilation of the evil, but in its transformation.
Lord, whips and lashes, blunt and bladed weapons fail to tame even ordinary prisoners. But you, with just your compassionate words, are able to transform a dangerous dacoit into a monk. Glory to you, O Lord, glory to you.
Preaching the Dhamma, Buddha helped many people to awaken from the dream of illusion. Buddha, a lion among men, rode the truth wherever he went, leaving behind a sense of peace and wisdom on every being. Knowing very well that his physical form would soon come to an end with the attainment of nirvana, Buddha is keen to fill all the needy with his grace and blessings even late into the night, while Ananda is only filled with more and more of surprise by this enchanting master. The Buddha immersed the world into the ocean of compassion by his power of transformation. But this power would take a shape so divinely conspiratorial in the form of a confrontation with his evil companion, Mara. Even destiny failed to anticipate this will
of Buddha. Ananda, go now. I await the arrival of someone.
Master, may I ask who it is?
Someone very special. Go, Ananda. Take some rest.
Greetings, Buddha. Greetings. The world regards time to be the biggest healer, the greatest transformer. But this time has fortunately failed to assuage my love for you, Buddha. I fail to distance myself away from you.
Condolences, Mara, on yet another failure.
Buddha, I stand impeccably convinced that you surely do float in an elusive plane of sweet pride. Such a great spiritual ambassador, thronged by his faithful followers, radiating such unending devotion. What exquisite richness you contain, Buddha.
Yes, Mara. I am rich. I am rich, for you have been my most faithful follower.
How can I not conform to my own fate? When my eyes meet your form, my memory resurrects to the time when you were born. How can I forget that poisonous pond of failure that you drowned me in? But Buddha, time baffles me. Despite leading a life that preserved and contained such enormous success, fueled with spiritualism, a life that castigated the mundane, today appears physically challenged. Buddha, you look very weak today. All these years, you preached and sermonized your truth to the world. Buddha, your path stood strong because you stood physically tall. But today, you have become old. You have become frail. And tomorrow, when you are deserted by time's final few specks of grace, what will happen to your message? Will it last? Will it be able to survive the test of fire that I shall put forth? Will it escape the assault of my vengeance? No, it shall not. All these years, you shot unabashed darts of failure at me. But now, as for me, the physical plane does not exist. And as for you, time has turned fatal. I shall engulf the minds of your people and become the definite prophet of doom on your road to salvation. What will you do, Buddha? Speak up! Speak up, oh Buddha! Speak up!
Mara, you look very weak today.
Never before have I experienced such harsh weakness in me. Never before has any impediment laughed at me in this fashion. Imperceptible. Why an immortal like me feels the fear of percolating mortality. No! This cannot be my end. The Buddha will open his eyes to me. He will. Only when I take up his form. Let me become a reflection of his ego. Let Mara swing the garb of his resilience into that of the Buddha! Oh, vulnerable Buddha, respond to the call of Mara! Respond!
Mara, today I initiate you into the Sangha.
No!
Do not mistake your weakness to be your end. For it is your strength which echoed today. Because you intensely willed to be the Buddha, you are no longer what you think you are. Across an enigma, across this cycle of time, Mara, you thought that you affected me, but you once again failed. For you were unable to comprehend a mighty plan of your transformation, which I had orchestrated. You failed. You once again failed as Mara. But at last you did succeed once you transformed into the Buddha.
Saranam Gacchami Dhammam Saranam Gacchami Sangham Saranam Gacchami. धर्म के उद्धार के लिए आते हैं भगवान। धर्म के उद्धार के लिए आते हैं भगवान। उनके प्रेम से लगता है अधर्म पर विराम। उनके प्रेम से लगता है अधर्म पर विराम। उनके प्रेम से लगता है अधर्म पर विराम। एक कुरुक्षेत्र है जीवन मानव का। इसमें ही छिपे भगवान बसा दानव भी दुर्गुण का।
काम क्रोध मद मोह लोभ मत्सर एक और अड़े।
सत्य धर्म और शांति प्रेम सद्गुण की रक्षा करे।
मानवता का सौभाग्य प्रभु धर्म के साथ खड़े। मानवता का सौभाग्य प्रभु धर्म के साथ खड़े।
మనసున మంచి ఎప్పుడు కొలువుండును చెంతనే చెలిమిగా చెడు మెలగును
రెంటికి ఎల్లప్పుడు ఒక యుద్ధమే మంచిదే తుద గెలుపు ఇది తథ్యమే
ప్రతి యోగికి ఒక గతముండునులే ప్రతి భోగియునొక యోగిగా మారును
ప్రతి హృదయము ఒక కాంతి గర్భమే ప్రతి మనసు ఒక నిజి స్థావరమే
దుష్ట హరణమది కాదు తన పదము దుష్టత నిలలో బాపుటకై
మనిషిని పెంచగా మార్గము చూపగా సత్య సాయి జనించే సాయి
सा